nkwaniriza ku show gy'osinga okwagala The Sharp Talk ne Tamale Mirundi. Amanya nze Simon Chris Makanga era ng'olunaku lwakubiri ennaku z'omwezi lumu omwezi ogw'omwenda. Mwezi gukyali mupya nnyo era nga tukimanyi lunaku lwa kusasula abakozi lwe tuyita payday kubasinga. Naye akasente ako oba okafunye munnaye tikakekereze oba ofune ekyamaanyi ky'okakolamu. Show egenda kuba nganzi nnyo era tugenda kwatwogera ku bintu bingi nnyo ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga n'ensonga nnyingi nnyo ze tusuubira okuba nga zigenda ggwawo olunaku olwaleero. Omukukunavu Tamale Mirundi mutabani wa Mole ne Yowana wali mu studio era nga tugenda kwa tukubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga nnyingi nnyo ezigenze maaso mu ggwanga naddala ezo ezaakola amawulire wiiki ewedde n'ezo ze tusuubira okukola amawulire wiiki eno. Akaseera ka byakulonda era nga obuvuyo tutandise obulabako naddala mu kamyufu ka NRM abagenda okuba nga bakuba akalulu ku lunaku lwokutaano wiiki eno okulaba ani anaakwata bendera ya NRM mu kubaka waba parliament. Katandike ne omukulu Tamale Mirundi. Nsanyusa okulabako. Nsubira oli bulungi.
Twasoma kubeera bubi.
Buli kimu kitambula.
Kati ndi bubi. Mbu COVID ekuyisizza etya. Kati COVID bwetuuka okuyisa nze obubi abanaku banaabeera bati.
Kituufu.
Everything is a challenge.
Nkulaba obulamu bulungi nnyo. Era nga akasaati koyambala n'akakofiira kalagira ddala nti ewuwo munnaye.
Era bwe nyambala. No. Ate nakakolere. Awagira Museveni talina kyalina.
Awagira Museveni talina kyalina.
Nawandiika obutabo mu different languages. This is a Kinyankole book mu campaign. Obulimba bwa Besigye ne Gundi. Ne mpandika obutabo bungi. Banziba millions zange ebikumi
bitano.
Has never been paid. I hear people getting billions.
Nego kyabanja.
For us, we don't work for money. Kubanzi bana basajja nabategeera.
Ofunira muwa.
Nabategeera. Nabagamba tukita simiriza obugero. I'm a hunting dog. From 7 never tukitegeera. A dog hunts for the master and the self.
Na yefunako.
Walabye embwa ewerekera abagenda okusola ebinyeebwa.
Tebaliyo kaibe bijanja aletya kuba nyama.
Embwa emanyi okubuga wali ogerabyeko mu nnyanja.
Teriyo.
But they don't understand. Kati ffe tulina destination. Ekyokubiri tukiyita mu political science tukiyita systems analysis. Ayira okukwatya system. System y'abano ekola etya. System y'abano ffe batusomesa mu byobufuzi. When a leader or a political party humiliates, disregards those who deliver committed service to him or to the party, ends up using mercenaries. This is where the movement is.
Katandikirawo omukulu Tamale Mirundi. Olunaku olw'eggulo munnamawulire gwe tulidde ebbanga nga tumusomako tumuwuliriza tumulaba yasaze eddiiro nga oluvannyuma lw'okukwata kaadi ya NUP okumala ennaku 27 n'amala tubalaba bannamawulire bangi omuli Betty Nambooze omuli Andrew Muwenda naawe mwennyini Tamale Mirundi wali munnamawulire n'omala lw'osala eddiiro kitegeeza ki
bannamawulire abali professional kyekibakola obubi tulonda ekifo ky'omunnamawulire muleeta omusomi w'ebirango yasoma mu institute oyo bumbuulira mala obudde bwange kakati zekankubuulira
Tamale Mirundi abantu abavuddeyo nga bawakanya gavumenti eriko ne bamala ne basala eddiiro
ekyo kyoba oyogera
kitegeeza ki kuba naye wali omukubbo abali bawakanya gavumenti ne mala osala eddiiro
eyo guluufu nze bano abasajja nali mbamanyi kuva mu nsiko singa nalinga musinga siva wasale nalaba sale mu 83 nampa n'assignment mbatwalira ebintu. Do you see me in Sally's place?
Not at all.
I have my destination. Nina byengoba. And when I look around, Katonda yampa nemala emyaka 14 mu kifo eky'amaanyi ennyo. I look at these people. Nembategeera. Nze nalina simwogere mu 96. I was one of his advisors. In fact, omu ku balipoota yafa. Mutabani we yazze n'andaba ku weekend. Nemugamba mama jjajja walidda nti ali mu nnyendo. Nemugamba mulowooza okuziika kw'oyo omwana Luwemba attracted all the DP leaders, the opposition leaders. Semogere yali ava genda embalala eyo n'asanga ekimotoka ky'amagye mu kkubo nga kiringa ekifudde nekizunga mu kkubo ekyamuyamba yali mu motoka ngumu ya Benz. Banne oyo omwana n'afa. Nababuuza nti basemogere mugendayo nali ne Semwogerere twakwatagana mu ngalo ntwawukana. Why? Yaleeta aba UPC. Ne muga Semwogerere tosobola kusonyiwa kusinga Katonda. The UPCs have come, they will take away your votes and they are coming with nothing. Nga bwe mulaba abakyuka. Nababulya ne mbagamba ono omwana namuwandiikako.
Bobi Wine.
Kaddi kano. I predicted Bobi Wine. Mukatabo kange kano. Kaddi kano.
Ka 23 wakawandikanga Sunday 23 July 2017.
Is it a revolution or victory? I analyze Bobi Wine. Long ago. But I have time. Kakati kyegamba nze Semwogerere kyanzijayo on principle. Era nze gundi toka nali sibamanyi. Abo bonna mbamanyi bonna.
Babasajja mivule.
Yes, kubanga you see nze mbagamba, what does one want? What do you want to achieve in your life? Do you have a destination? Nze mbaga nti I suffer setbacks. If I'm traveling to Kajansi and you offer me a lift, you drop me at Namasuba, you have made my journey shorter. I can walk to Kajansi. I cannot become a permanent. Kubana nabasoma bano. Mugambye principle esooka. Any leader or political party that humiliates, that disregards, that does not reward its committed cadres will end up using mercenaries. This is what is happening. It answers it. And you end up killing both. Oh no, in political science, you cannot move from one extreme end of politics to the other. That's why bidandi salio inake wekoledde, you cannot turn around and then contest with the Museveni. You must explain that the Museveni I supported has changed. Mbabazi on record omukulembeze omulungi tamala gajibwawo. Tomorrow you say what? You were super minister, I did not have powers. Do you believe that people are gullible? You can only move from one extreme politics to the other of a society when it is divine. Nti Saulo yafuuka Paulo. Katonda okugamba nti Saulo njiganyiza ki? Yafuuka Paulo. A quote of the Bible was written by this man.
True.
Why? What many people don't know. Paulo was a lecturer in the University of Pharisayo. At that time, Jesus was responding to the Pharisayo who were knowledgeable. Umuntu omulala genda omusome mu Busiraamu bamuyita woman.
So
Katonda ye yamulagira. Anybody who moves from one extreme end of politics to the other talina kyatwala. If a leader waits Museveni to sack you, talina kyotwala. Because kitegeeza singa teyaggobye. In fact, we reject to society. Kakati mukimutandategeera nti abo babbalamu bani. First of all, I cannot associate with Balaam. Balaam is associated with buying. If today I crossed Bobi Wine, unless I'm received by Bobi Wine, tewali mulala ajja.
Kyogamba kano yekuye mupiira basajja muvule.
Yes. But what was the destination? Waliwo omwana akaabanga mulwadde nemuwa ebbere n'aligaana. Niwabawo omwana akabira okuyonga. Tutambula n'abantu nga tugenda okuziika. Ng'abamu basazi ba nsawo. Nabo baba bagenda kuziika. You see, we're seated in the same car. Ayagala ki? Kusaasira ayagala ki? Oyo ayagala ki? Ono ayagala ki omuyimbi? What do I want?
Byanfuna.
Nze njagala ki? I have a destination. Bayibuli etugamba nti okusanyawo Sodoma ne Gomora yabasaba abantu basatu ne babulamu. Don't think that Uganda would be governed by mafias all of the time. There will be a time for Ugandans to demand era ne mafia irwana njiraba. Kati ekyokubiri kye mutamanyi nti bano abasajja ba mafia babala okubasinga. Kakati omuntu gundi media institution bagenda jiwa sente okusinza ku balabi baayo.
Kituufu.
Kati bano ababbi balowooza nti by plucking this man tubalamuzi studio station babawe sente nti oyani ayina value. tewalabye wa New Vision mbu akozeewo gundi ey'oluluwo why tewalabye Dombo mbu Dombo you have money to pay for your airtime if you have money to pay for my airtime buy me an underwear also obujozi bwennyini obubunyira ddala. These MPs, the nominated MPs, should select which is suitable media. Ewulirwe waabwe. Kati Dombo alina kana aka New Vision. Baagala babbire wali. Bakusasulidde obudde. Let any fool, any idiot tamper with my programs. I've been sustaining my programs out of sacrifice. You have been switching off my programs. When it comes to elections, you land on me, I smash your head. That's me. Kati mwe temulina principles temumalaako nze mmalako lwaki I have the cost of resistance nti I rejected the job for 7 years. I'm still around. None of my children is out of school. All my wives are driving cars. Kakati chichi nze nina cost of resistance. Museveni yalina cost of resistance. Museveni tells us he had a cause. Nti do you believe Nyerere yali tasobola convincing Obote nti wa Museveni omulimu?
Yali asobola.
Eta kisobola.
Museveni
bw'osoma ekitabo kye The Yali Yawe which I translated mu Luganda ne bakinzibako naye nze sente nazirya nsimba akasiko ka kalidaali and it was popular in Uganda. People understand in their local languages. Kakati Museveni yagamba mu kitabo kye nti after attacking Kabamba twagenda ku faamu ya Sebuliba. Bannaffe abamu ne bagamba nti watuleese kutussa because many believed nti Museveni alina amagye amagye gagenda kuwamba government. The president tells us nti babaleka ne bakomawo but he does not mention their names. Their cause was different. They were opportunists. Kakati gwe tolowooza nti omuwala agenda mu busisita aba yabula abalinzi ku kyalo. Ye commitment ye eri ku kye to serve God. So you cannot band all of us. Two, nti mafia yerowooza nti abantu basiru. Era I want to tell you, Museveni is not fighting Bobi Wine. Not at all. Museveni is fighting a rebellion inside his palace.
Kitegeeza kyecho Tamale Mirundi.
Yeah. Anti kakati kana katabo kange kasome mu introduction yokka. Nti nze amulake buno bonna bwange and others are ready. I rely on knowledge. I did the mass communication, I'm a mass communicator. Ojako TVN, ojijako, nojijako, mbatajje tukolinkuta. I work alone. If the president believes that he needs my services, I must have a special budget. Not under anybody. I'm above Dombo. I'm above Nabako. How can Dombo control me? I cannot attend where Dombo is sharing as far as the media is concerned. Yariaba the coach, mu media. Dombo yariaba the coach mu media. Do you call me when Dombo is sharing in the meeting? Me, Mutani wa Mirundi, nswere mpunu. Kakati zenkubolira. Nti all of these issues you are discussing originate from here. Na wandika katavao.
Tutandikire wa.
Yawo wenyini mu introduction.
For quite a long time, there existed a common belief among the managers of Coca-Cola, a giant manufacturer of soft drinks, that their arch rival in the market was Pepsi Cola. It was until Coca-Cola appointed a new manager from East Africa region that this belief was disproved. The new manager sat down to draw a new marketing strategy for the company, only to find out that the centuries-old belief was untrue. This phenomenon is not so strange across the world. People fail to understand their real enemies, but spend most of their lives in illusion of perceived enemies. Tugende maso. The findings in the new manager's report were both intriguing and amazing. The findings revealed that Pepsi Cola was not the biggest supplier of soft drinks in East Africa, and therefore, a majority of the population in East Africa who wanted to drink either Coca-Cola or Pepsi Cola could not do so because none of the products was available in most of the small towns across East Africa.
For a long time, the manager of Coca-Cola was Pepsi Cola in their biggest competitor. Until the new manager came to East Africa, now call research. Nakizula nga Coca-Cola jetatuuka ne Pepsi tetuukayo. Nagamba ki bring these big refrigerators emulaba ebweru tutuuke ne Pepsi Cola jatatuuka. We are not competing with Pepsi Cola because Pepsi Cola jatatuuka naffe tetutuukayo. bali banywaki. Let us get these people. Kakati ne politics bwali.
So Bobby Wine is Museveni talwanyisa Bobby Wine.
Museveni talwanyisa Bobby Wine. Museveni yalinga abakola bwalowooza nga nti pepisi nga si pepisi. And this, why did I name it a curse? To set up curse. Nakawandika ddi. When did I write this book? And bono bapuddamu ne baproducing. But earlier, nemputeerako nti Obote yalowooza nti kingdoms because Obote did not want to share power. A dictator cannot share power. That's why, as a political scientist, I'm amazed whenever I hear people accusing Museveni of being a dictator. When you have several layers of authority in Uganda, district is an entity. Ne batambula ebweru, ne basayininga memoranda, ne bakolaki, bagenda mu non-government organization, ne bajjayo sente. A dictator cannot allow several centers of authority. Kakati Obote bwe yajja yayagala okuteekawo a single party arrangement. Eggwanga alifuge ne political parties n'aziwera. But Idi Amin, who toppled him, was always close to him. So the animal of Obote, Teyali kingdoms. Amin was not a former king of the abolitionist kingdoms. Yes. Kakati nenkugamba nti look what Gundi Obote again. Look what Amin. Amin believed almost his attention on Tanzania. Obote akomawo. I come near the border, Mutukula, near the border. Twayina enkambi ye Masaka suicide, nga tuyina ku buyambi mu Kalitunsi, nga tuyina Sanje, nga tuyina Sangobbe, nga tuyina Mutukula. 45. Ubongo bwe bonna buli kwani. Until we invaded Tanzania. But the people who are killing Ugandans, who are putting them in kaboots, the special Uganda. We are not sent by Nyerere. He annexed Kagera, which toppled him. The Tanzanians, he incited the Tanzanians and they toppled him. Nenga abatta abantu baliruda. Mariamu Nyerere yali amufuga. Mustafa Adis Nyerere yali amufuga. Faruku Minawa Nyerere yali amufuga. Obote comes back, concentrated on Museveni. Everything was done on Museveni. We had the North Korean commandos training the we had the advanced British training team here. We have the Tanzanians here training Obote's army. And in 1984, Obote training Abajase Mitwaleji, Naga Wogole to flash to solve the Museveni menace once and for all. Who toppled him? Paulo Muanga, he's the vice president. And Okero, who was a commander. He was not Museveni. Museveni was far away by the time. Okay, Obote was toppled. Museveni was outside the country. All of the efforts the president is making to decimate this man, Zabwerere, Mafia Yemutabula, Mafia. Is Bobby Wine the man? Has Bobby Wine his people stolen COVID money? Has Bobby Wine his people stolen money intended for radios? I've read this man is newspaper. Radios are here. You read it here.
Submission of bids. Bids should be submitted to address below, no later than the date and time of the deadline law. Late bids will be rejected. Date of deadline, yearly 22nd August 2020. Time of deadline, 11 a.m. Address, Minister of Education and Sports.
You cannot edit an English newspaper when you are stupid. And I doubt he's not stupid, but he's caught up with a mafia. He thinks that he can deceive everybody. If the tenders were recently opened, bids, how can the radios come in the country now? Two, we have two types of radios. They were allocated 400 billions on the project. the first consignment of radios was to come during the COVID when the schools are not opening. Nekakuba ne mawulire gako ne kabba sente. Kakati today you are talking about the resumption of schools. Radios ziriwo. Which type of radios have arrived? The radios that have arrived are in his head. Ate chichi. If they have arrived, you wouldn't be talking about the resumption of schools. If the radios have arrived. If they have arrived and they are the same radio stations that could help the students, then the bids would stop. Nabagamba nti president bamutwala mu gundi n'ebifaananyi biina mu kizimbe ekitaliiyo nga bakisanzeeko ne bamugamba nti buy Uganda. About 4 million zina kukolebwa wantu ina ba manufacturer. Let anybody tell me whether we have a radio manufacturing company in Uganda. Ne batwala na bino niye bajja bayola. These are documented things. And when I document some of these things at the embassies.
Bidabibwa.
Yes. Bili documented.
Biwulibwa.
Ojo kulava yogwe bakutte omukyayina yadduka. Omukyayina
olikuwagamba yesiga kiwi.
Omukyayina yesiga kiwi. Akala kagendedde mu gundi mu kibox kya nyanya ku airport. Obulala buli bubiri fugitive buli wa muntu. But what did I do about the Chinese? Soko somewa. Abachina nabagamba ki?
Finally, China should understand that the projects being implemented in Africa are permanent monuments that form bases from which its reputation can be appreciated or discredited. It should be noted that China has financed several projects in Uganda, including an ice cream plant, Kibimba Rice Scheme, and Mandela National Stadium. China should be mindful of the democratic process going on in Africa, and its policy should not be very far from what America and European countries have deployed. China should avoid a status of ideas and of Indians and Lebanese who are always targeted during political upheavals in East Africa. Following the failed coup in Kenya in 1983, angry mobs targeted Indian women and shops. This state of affairs happens when citizens perceive that foreigners have taken over what the local people can do.
Yes. Nabagamba, we call it a bogey. In East Africa, the Indians are hated. Why? They live a slightly better life than others. The moment you live a slightly better life than others, you compete with the natives over resources, you are gone. Why do people talk about Banyarwanda here? Not the Congolese. Not
because they live a better life than others.
They compete with us. That's why there was a hot debate in the parliament in NRC about the future of the Banyarwanda officers in Yame. Rwejema was the deputy minister.
True.
Excellency Kagame was head of the same way. Ugandans were perturbed. So, but the Congolese with their Bikoyi, with their Lesu, who cares about them?
No one cares about them.
Why has these Europeans, why have they maintained their stay in Africa for long? Abachina, Babi Ngato, Abachina, Babi Damu, Abachina, every day the Chinese have risked their future in Africa, especially in Uganda. Luachi Tanzania, Badena Abachina, Bazing Tanzama Gund, Teeko Abachina, Ngabali in Uganda. Why is it that during Amini's time, the Chinese put up strong monuments, Mandela, ice plant, Chibimba ice cream? The problem is that the mafias have infiltrated the Chinese. Recently, Bagambi president, nti naitiru ina okole ngoyi. Tetusobola kwambala ngoyi zammwe. Do you believe that in Japan there are no Mercedes Benzes? First put something on a standard. Bagobya abantu bonna Abachina. Whoever is using the Chinese is making their stay here very short-lived.
Tamale, mundowoza n'endaba y'ebintu. Is there need to worry about Chinese? Kuba waliwo ebyogerwa.
Why are we not talking about the Americans? Why are we not talking about the British who are here for 70 years? Why do we talk about the Chinese? The Chinese are being used by the mafia gang. And they have surrendered.
What when there was a Gamba?
Gondi, Yesimba, 54 billion was taken using a fake Chinese. These radio stations, a Chinese had to paint himself, Kiwi, to run away. In these radio sets, another Chinese fled the country. This guy starts a luggage at Entebbe airport. 2 Chinese are fugitives in Goma, where the mafias have a cementing company.
Tamale Mirundi.
Ate basajja bansiketi bankubidde esimu ne banga nti wayi tulagirire nenga nti utafiira omukwano gwange yamanyi olulingala nja kumunoonya bagamba tulagirire we bali tubanywe balabika amakuti ga ssente ge babyewa gali eno tunaakuwa kati bagenda kuduma balaga Nairobi naye munaakomawa. Stop stealing money. So I'm telling you, this is the easiest election for President Museveni. Why? Why? Because we don't have a strong opposition in Uganda. The opposition which is being cropped up is because of the mafias. By mafia, by 3 issues which is disturbing them. Mafias have been using people and dumping them.
Tamale Mirundi kusonga abachina bakwesa ba mafia
bakwesa
abachina China waliwo ndoze gamba nti abachina initially wali bagamba muzaale babiri kati bazaala basatu n'okusobawo nga bagamba nti bazaala yagenda okujja mu Africa n'enkola y'okudepopulizing
China. There are 9 million Chinese.
Olowooza mu China si yakwesa ba
mafias. There are 9 million Chinese in Angola. In Uganda we must have 2 million Chinese. First of all, the Chinese live in secrecy. But what exposes the Chinese is their food in the supermarkets. Do we eat snakes?
Not at all.
Yes. Once you see the Chinese food in the supermarket dominating our supermarkets, it means the Chinese are here. But it's secretive. But that is not me. The Ugandans are in China, and China has abandoned you. I admire the Chinese. In fact, when we talk about COVID, I'm going to write, you will read my book, what I predicted about the Chinese. But what I'm saying, the Chinese are also victims. And China is a worse imperialist. Why? They have got their money through the nose. When you see African leaders running to China for money, they think that the Chinese have made this money through miracles. It's not a miracle. China is very tough on its money. Once they catch you stealing money as the thieves here do, you are marooned on an island, you are executed irrespective of your contribution and status, you face life imprisonment. Kakati mumuloza nti abachina bangu nnyo oline yekweka mbachina oline yekweka mbachina ne batwala ne sandals ne batwala chi ne batwala chi. This eno President Museveni, this is the easiest election as long as he can tackle the problem. Kakati mukano nakubuulira soma wano nkubuulire nti President naye namuwandika n'akatabana kabana nembabulya Kadaga temuyisobola kujoga bantu. What is eating up Kadaga? Mukadaga bamalu mujoga jaba kolere. I predicted the parliament. Nti parliament will be hostile to Museveni. Why? The way the mafia is branded, bargaining up. Do you see? I told you. Even Yolanya moves consciously. Bamukosa ne bamudukako. Their practice. Kakati ono mukazi anywa yajjana kweza abadde mu binyo ne mubaka akatabo. Tugenda kumenya mayumba g'abahamu. Tugenda kola kya fulumisa 5 billion. Bamuwagawaga kati anywa yatunde yagabe ekibira ebunyolo n'akigabira abasimbi b'ebikajjo. Museveni amubuuza wakikola otya. Ani yakulagira bali beekukumye bannanyini nsi beriyo bamafia beekukumye bati era you have written a book nti if you want to serve these mafias you can either be omulusula or omunyampi abalusula but balina mukwano anywa badduse asiki anywa nti ani yakugamba okutunda ekibira ono omukazi wa energy namaze mukuba yabadde sente azitwala mugundi sente zaleyo ezo twazinunudde kakati ono omukazi mutibwa kati bagobyeyo embwa naye ani amubaddemu bekukumye bwe bati bali mu state house
Tamale ba mafias boboyogerako
babe
President Museveni abamanyi
naye alwana nabo
lwaki tabakuba
ate kano akasajja ka New Vision kakugamba mu radios azze ate resumption of schools. If radios are the same radios to serve the same purpose, communication, and a consignment arrived, when the schools are taken, what do you do in normal circumstances? Nti watumye omwana ennyama ne wabaawo n'abaleetedde. What do you do? Emu mugire ekyaggulo temugiyiwa naye kasajja gwe walaba. N'omutwe gwako n'omutwe n'obugalubindi. Whom are you telling lies? If we have, okay, now that the radios that were supposed to be used by students during COVID have arrived, then we divert this money that we are going to use to buy radios as election, because these are radios. Okumanya Museveni alina ekizibu bicycle z'ezayero wazirabyeko kazi kubanga ako kekejenti kennyini aka akasajja kekabayamba ennyo kekakuba ebyekisirusiru byonna ne bukedde. How can you have a credible national newspaper? You publish an article that an innocent businesswoman was killed by brokers ng'agenza okugula ettaka. Have you seen the story anywhere? In normal circumstances, every newspaper must make a follow-up. Where is this follow-up? From Buked. I'm going to mobilize the people. When any newspaper that is in hands of a mafia editor, we don't buy it. And I have the influence. Kasatu tegeera nti kasajja kakuba bya busiru ba mafia be bakakozesa. Don't buy the newspaper. Temulugula kalyoke kadde esirongo kubanga boogera bya busiru. You published a story that a woman has been killed. The police is not updating up. You are not making follow-up.
Era nga wetwogerera ennaku ntono nnyo emabega kaawo permanent secretary mu kitongole eky'ebyobulamu Honorable Dana Atwine yavuddeyo n'afuna atongoza emitwalo 24,115. Tamale Mirundi kansooke mpiseewo kano
ebyo bya busiru.
Dana Atwine yavuddeyo n'atongoza emitwalo 24 n'ekitundu z'abo abaagala okwekebeza naddala abo truck drivers abayingira mu nsi yattu Uganda. Yabagambye nga tonnayingira oteeka okubanga ogenda keberebwa ekirwadde kya COVID-19 ate nga ogenda sasula emitwalo 24 n'ekitundu. Ne companies nga STV ni kese wewegala okebeza abakozi bammwe weetaaga okusasula emitwalo 24 n'ekitundu. Tamale Mirundi nkimanyi obadde obisa amatoni noozo obadde ompuliriza emitwalo 24 n'ekitundu abo abaagala okwekebeza ekirwadde kya COVID-19.
It stinks like a Marwa toilet. Never waste my time on such stupid things.
Tamale Mirundi bannayuganda ensonga ebadoogerako.
Read here. They are provoking the people to riot. Mukazi gwe kyonoonyo gye kifuna bajja kukifuna. These are Museveni's enemies who are forcing people to riot. Let them riot. By the president. Let them riot. This is a coup in a different fashion. Museveni is facing a rebellion from his team. Sibasiru. These people are intelligent. But this is a coup in your president was. Many people believe that when you have a group that has invested heavily in the country, of stability, no, they develop into Akazu, and the Akazu eats its leader. These people believe abantu batutegedde tubabye kubanga nabagamba tibakozesa politics. Yes, bo balowooza ababbi baawano nti balinga ab'e Kenya. Ab'e Kenya tebabbanga ku bintu by'abantu. Ab'e Kenya government ya Bungereza n'eya Germany ya contributing a grant of $500,000 n'egula ebintu mu bali departing settlers. Bano babba tax n'aleeta bus na dispersing aba nabba owino nabba ki ne baddira ente ez'abalunzi bannaabwe ne bagamba nti kalusu bazigula eddondolo ekiro nadira ennyama nagiteekamu eddagala effu kubanga is exporting. Bawunye mu nju bawunye mu toyi fe mu byobufuzi batugamba nti once any group you feel any group in your pockets inside your house you hate it and you fight back. Kasita obba obutale nobba egundi sente za COVID nobba rediyo za gundi nobba no, this is too much.
Dana Atwine yavudde n'agamba nti testing kits tezimala.
Soma wano
katisoke tusome waneno a prominent businessman hired a consultant to reorganize his company which was facing financial problems. The consultant found out that the businessman was overspending on luxuries instead of reinvesting the profits into the company. The consultant advised him to cut down on his expenditure, which he rejected, and the company collapsed. Why couldn't this man adjust his luxurious life? The answer was that, like Obi, he could not disengage from the Clara machine that he had become part of the puzzle of his life. This attitude is common in politics. This is one reason why governments lose power or be defeated in elections. Losing power means that the government embarked on a self-destruction mission. It did mistakes that were avoidable. A defeat means that voters wanted change. It does not depend on the performance of the government. Therefore, in many cases, leaders operate like Obi. They find themselves at the point of no return.
Hey.
Okay.
Abakulembeze besanga akazunga tebasobola kejjako.
Okay.
Singa basoma nnolo ngati izi mwe nakijja. Ti omulenzi Obi yava bweru n'akwana Kirala. Kirala nga be bazaali be baani abali life. Naye nga bamugamba nti omuwala akumala wa teyetajja mufumbiro. Yadda mukuba sente mu gavumenti ne bamukwata. Kaka ne babuuza, why couldn't he disengage from the Kirala machine? Kirala had become part and parcel of his life. Era yababuuza bamugamba bawufobi abamuwera sente, why don't you pay us? But after struggling so much, you put me in a group where members greet each other. How does the car behave? Do they want me to say that my car is off the road because I failed to pay my insurance? Ye Obi. Kati n'abakulembeze beesanga nga bayina akakundi ke batasobola kwejjako. Kafuuka party and person ne bakalowooza tiko kayina kubeera appeased. Akakundi kano katuuka ekiseera kano akazu katta mukama waako. Kuba kakati batuuka ne baliyorayizinga nti abantu batutegedde. People are bitter. Yeah? There is no sensible woman who can strip herself naked before drunkard men. They rape her. Diana yeta chimanyi. Tamanyi nti abantu bali bitter ate mmwe mulinde. You wait when the schools resume open. Mugenda kulaba nti ebizimbe but there was no inspection of schools. There was no maintaining department. Mugenda kusanga ebizimbe nti bigenda kuwa they are fit for abana.
Ebimbatanse birundi
yes, bagenda bimenya. Kakati mugenda kusanga mu kisiibo nabagamba nti mu kisiibo n'omusiramu atalina sente zirya mmere mulowooza yasiibi naye nga yasangiddwa asiiba. Kakati abaana babadde tebasomanga n'abaavu batudde. What you are seeing in arcades where tenants are fighting landlords, it is going to be intensified. It is going to be multiplied 100 times by people going to school. Mbabulirira oyo omuwala yereege. Yes, Uganda is like a house. Gye baterekamu ebidomola by'amafuta tozunza kabiriiti yebajagalira kwani mubbye sente z'enzige mubbye amatete mwagabwa abantu mubbye emmere mugitaddemu obutwa. What else do you want? Uganda, even if Ugandans are very tolerant, muwala gwe don't it is only a stupid woman who stripped herself naked before drunkard men. No situation tagimanyi
provoking abantu
kubanga ayina mulamu we naye bwati bwalowooza balina gurupu yaabwe erowooza mujja kudduka. The super guru that is holding this country is Museveni. He goes in the morning, in the evening, chaos.
Ogambye ba mafia bali munda mwenyini bwabanga State House
bakuwa sente meka ne bakuwa okugula gundi ne bakuwa awulira ne bakuwa okugula masks n'oleta bunika bw'abaana abato. These are knickers for children. Bukwata matameni. You buy knickers instead of gold. Children knickers. Which one have you produced? Read the Chinese. Nakugamba, I've told you. To me, I predicted that the Chinese will handle this. And very predicted. When I predicted 10 things, I see 8. I will be Diana running away. I will see this city burning. obujozi bubagwere ddala mu mitwe gyammwe. If you are speaking, get good people advisors. Such a girl should get an advisor, serious advisor. That these are not spokeable. You are sweeping naked before drunkard men. You girl. Read here.
Tamale wano ogamba nti, I have always argued that China has developed faster than India, which has a bigger number of its population educated. This can be further explained by the following. India is engaged in a cold war with Pakistan, which was which has forced it to invest more in defense in order to maintain a military edge over its rivals. Currently, both India and Pakistan are nuclear powers. Rampant and stinking corruption in India affects its development. China does not operate under elective democracy, whereas India is the largest democracy. Before a decision that affects many people is made in India, leaders must consider the election calendar first. India's unity has been undermined by sectarian interests and weak governments rising out of political alliances. On the other hand, China is under a dictatorship. Parliament in China with all its 4,000 MPs is just a rubber stamp, yet the Indian parliament is vibrant. China has managed to control riots and strikes that undermined implementation of unpopular government policies, which at times are beneficial to the country's development.
Nabaga nti kasita China tekkiriza bubbi eyatwala akawuka China yatuyamba nnyo. The Chinese are well organized. Kyolaba America kabasi na wano. It is easier to control. Nkugambye nti my prediction at that time was babagamba nti akawuka kavudde China. Nimbaga nti yakatadde yakozesa experiment nkyamu. The Chinese are well organized. Era bakakwata dda. Yes. Naye gwe woyina ababbi abatakwatibwako nti ababbi n'olwaleero nina kugundi yange nakubya akatambi kaliko emitwalo egi nga boogera ababbi nga boogera nze what pains me among the mafia gang there is a professor. The president knows the professor because why does the professor will tell you what the president is planning. I heard him saying nti obutambi mirundi bwaweereza mbuwuliramu naye omusajja kyatusonyiye busonyi ekitegeeza n'obutambi bwa president abusoma professor. But professor mugezi nnyo. If the president can call that professor ne boogera bambi, professor sees doom. Professor has a proper view about the impact of COVID-19 in this country. That professor. But I think he fears to tell the president the truth. Two, the professor also believes that unless Museveni handles the gang, which has failed to do, bali baganga members bajoze buli muntu kati oyogera ku UTL bani abagirimu. You think uyo mwala yagirimu? Hapana. UTL Gaddafi mwe yagula sente baziweerezanga ebweru. Gaddafi yakula mu shares Libya baziweerezanga ebweru. Tetumanyi bagirimu, tetumanyi politics gundi. Bino byemuzanya ebya embassies. You think I don't know? Nti waliwo ekikampuni ekitunda embassies ekizimanejinga. Innocent gundi staff nze simanyi. You think simanyi lutalo lulimu gundi? Mukakanizi yatugamba mbu twaweereza sente China nga ziri more than what was wanted. Mukakanizi tera sente giwaziteeka.
Bagamba sente za Tamale.
You see, what punishment did he give to somebody? Eyaweereza sente esinga obungi. Mukakanizi.
Ezali z'aba students
you tell that rubbish to the population. Omanya Abaganda bayina enkola yaabwe bakugamba mbwe ekizimba kyabulidde mu mubiri. Bw'oba obadde olyengege eggumba n'olimira. Oli safe oba toli safe?
Toba safe.
Kuba ligenda kufumita ebyenda byonna. You talk rubbish. You control the media, but people batula n'abamwe bennyini. And what is making us happy? The mafia gang is not tribalistic. Tebakulimbangako. The mafia gang is not tribalistic. Mafia gang fellowship is driven by their argue for money, insatiable argue for money. Kubanga, I can give you an examples. Look, Mugundi, Malaya, Baba $50 million. Uyo muchayina yaduse president yalagira bagende bakabere emiti gy'amasanyalaze ne wayaling ngenkuyegeza zire jinyenya jitinga amanyo g'abakadde katemye butemya akachayina ne kadduka president naga nti company zonna muzibula kalising omunene nakuba esimu mu internal affairs n'abagamba temubajjako working permit kati government ono aboggola n'ono aboggola. That's why I cannot be a minister in this government. Kakati nkugamba
Tamale sokolabe oyambala yero kakofira ka yere sate yere tali ya yero lwaki toyamba ko President Museveni
okwamba
okwogera ngeri gyogeramu kiraga nti ba mafias at one point in time basobola okuwa government eno
baweddeyo nabagamba nze nali njogerera Kawempe nembagamba nti kasite messe erume kanzu ya nanyinimu tesula mu nyumba kuba Abaganda baberanga ne kanzu emu yegenda kubuko yegenda wa kati ajijjeyo ng'emmese yagiruma agigulira Dyson mbabazi teyafuluma nabaga nti emmese bweruma obugoye bw'abaana nannyini maka agamba buli empuuta ne butanaaba naye kasita ekwata ku kanzu ya nannyinimu bajja gigulira Dyson I predicted mbabazi nabaga nti mu nnyumba mulimu emmese naye emmese etigomeza obugoye bw'abaana naye etigomya buli kintu kyonna naye kati tugiwonye kasita eramuzizza ku kanzu ya nannyinimu goloza Abaganda bayimba baga nanyini mwatamidde tokwata ku mmere ye nanyini mwatamidde tokwata ku mmere ye omwekyo babategeeza ndikoyinza okulaba omusajja nga atamidde n'olebera ne ddiro mukazi we nti asigadde mu ddiro ne mukazi we kino kitamidde omuganda ga nanyini mwatamidde tokwata ku mmere ye nanyini mwatamidde tokwata ku mmere ye ebitamivu ebiyimba mu bbaala bitegeera nti onayagala nakwana muko omusajja ono amugulira omwenge kubanga bbaawo akoze eki kati liri ettamivu mu kumuwoninga kyeziva liyimba nanyini mwatamidde tukwata ku mmere ye nanyini mwatamidde tukwata teri nanyini mwakwatirwa ku mmere ye kati bano ba mafia kasaba mu bye 50 million ne babba radio zino kano akawumba tutu akafekete ne kagamba mu radio zazze ate amasomero gaddamu kati ate bagulya ki radio endala kati ekyo kitegeeza options zaabwe zigenze ziggwawo the moment they threaten Museveni survival Museveni cannot retire when this mafia gang is still strong ayiro kumalo jikuba two options endala bagenze wa Bobi Wine nakuba jakatambi ku Saturday nga mwenda ababuuza mwami mwenda ndi mungu aba mu fellowship ani atakolagana na Bobi Wine kakati that is a very big mistake
by the way
Bobi Wine temumanyi bamuvuga anybody who takes power after Museveni will know that Museveni is running this country as the way, in a modern way policies zezo kakati Bobi Wine after 5 years nga olunakwata power abantu bajja muwamba Museveni yali mugezi nnyo bwe yakwata power yajiddiza abantu ne beerondera kuva wansi n'abasasifaayo kati bino ebiremi byammwe si abalonde ya parliament si akolaki bamafiya balina lisiti y'aba MPs be bagenda okusasulira okuwa ssente oba beeno basi beeno. That's why nti I said Tango Odoyi, don't shout at us. Tango Odoyi, you have exposed yourself, resign. Ono namuganza bamugana okwogera ne baleeta Kadaga. Why should Kadaga? Why should monitor give Kadaga a headline? Why? Because Kadaga doesn't know that the mafia is using her now. They want Kadaga to legitimize the elections. It is not their interest now. Okukiza namuganza ayogere kati ate ye Tana ye yakuteewa bi Tana agamba gundi oyo Tango Odoyi. Don't shout at us. Tango Odoyi will respect his head and design. Why? Yalemeddwa okufumbira abagenyi abatono agenda anasobola okufumba emmere. Tana amugamba the votes are more than the delegates. Bamusibye ejjiribwa kati kyobalaba Tana the mafia controlled media temuwa kwogera. The mafia controlled media tewa namuganza kwogera. You have not seen a story about namuganza. Why? A mafia controlled media tewa Tana publicity. Why? because Tana exposes Utango Doi. Nti Tango Doi, didn't you know the number about scientific? Marakumanya delegates Maribameka. Tana says with evidence that there are more votes than the delegates. Take responsibility and resign. Olemereddwa okufumbirwa abagenyi bana. Tukukwasa tutya okufumbira essomero Tango Otoyi. Yes, but the mafias don't see why are they doing this? They are doing this because they have a certain people they want to be on the executive who can top of Museveni.
Tamale Mirundi ba mafias bano olowooza bye bakola byonoona erinnya lya mukulembeze w'eggwanga ekirowooza tekyongera n'oku ne Bobi Wine amaanyi. Nze
mbasinza amaanyi ankugambye nti Bobi Wine is suicidal. Buli abakulembeze bakigezezaako nti let Paulo Muwanga remove Obote tuteese n'abayeekera ba Museveni tusharinge power. Muwanga had succeeded. By the time Museveni came, it was only NRA that rejected the peace talks. Fedemu yalimu Bokero nga bakoze kansani semogere mwali olo bidandi mwali olo ne Kuteesa yalimu. Kuteesa was the attorney general of Bokero. Because they wanted to isolate Museveni as a Umonga. Museveni refused eja n'abakuba n'abajjako. Bali mu power ekyamuwanga ne kigaana. Look what Zambia. Chiruba yalowooza kandeete Patrick Mwanawasa. He will die in 2 years. The doctors have predicted that he will die in 2 years. Mwanawasa died after 7 years. Why? He propelled him into the presidency and he got money to treat himself. The 2 years period had been based on his resources as a lawyer in Zambia. Teyakwata Chiruba n'amusiba. What about this man in Angola? Dos Santos. Eyakuba Unita n'agijjawo. Eyakuba Savimbi n'amusika Musalo Gulevu. Is he the man on the run? Gwalowooza teyalowooza didn't he consider nti successor we ajja kuba ono? Within a very short time nabagamba politics, money, marriage change people's attitudes. Omwenge tegwonoona muntu. In fact, when you see your enemy resorting to beer, keep up your hands, thank God, he's going to waste himself. He will die. Naye kasitola bw'omuntu afumbiddwa n'afuna ssente. Ask these women. Bw'oba weeyazikanga olugoye lw'omuntu ne bafuna ssente tadda. Tayagala na history eyo nti weeyazikako olugoye ewaffe. That's why Museveni does not believe in political assassinations. Museveni just hands you a political rope and you hang yourself. Otherwise, Machiveri agamba nti a prince to rule comfortably must eliminate all of those who are political. Kakati eno venture gye bakola mu Bobi Wine ne bakugirayo bano ba musajja gundi ne bakugirayo nabagamba nti Bobi Wine alinga omukazi ayina akabina akanene ne bw'omubbako ekikooyi you are not affecting a bomb. Kakati kankubuuza, what's the value of this money to NRM? What's the value of full figure to NRM? What value addition did these people get? Because NRM does not need to abuse people. NRM is in the government. What you need to do is to have a media team that can analyze the policies of government and defend them. The way you do it. Kakati to that NRM, the issue is, do you expect me, an intelligent man, who is not a Murusula, who is not a fool, that the son of Yohana Mirundi can defend these radio stations when the documents are here, when I have the documents? Do you believe I can defend COVID? Your stupid suggestions on COVID. COVID needs one thing. Because the president is like a medical doctor who is treating a patient. If the president knows that the drugs he applied on combating the disease have done well, let him maintain the status quo. If he knows tonight that the drugs have not worked on the patient, let him change the doctor and the drug. In mass communication, a source matters, the credibility of a source. If you maintain Diana in that job with the utterances she's making, nobody will listen to her vomit. What you need to do, evaluate, because COVID-19 is here to stay. I'm watching the Chinese. The Chinese say schools are reopening, but under strict measures.
Well,
do you believe
COVID-19 iranga tusubira maybe masawo aja kubanga Uganda kuchi amasomero wamu n'amasinzizo ate wamu n'ebifo ebichakalibwamu
anti kakati ye contradiction
Tamale Mirundi ensonga ya embassy mu Denmark.
If we have alarming numbers, rising numbers over COVID, can you think of opening churches? They two are contradictory. The moment you say that we are opening, unless you put in because COVID-19 is here to stay. Do you believe Trump does not have the influence and the money to order the American scientists to produce a vaccine? Because COVID is losing the battle over COVID, the way he handled the COVID. So for Abaganda batugamba nti wenziyukira sematimba n'ekikwabanga. Bwenziyukira sematimba n'ekikwabanga abali abazirangala wabali adda leero nga nze lulire kawanerire n'enywere nabulagala. Omuganda akugamba when I remember sematimba and chikwabanga, the bravest men at the time, they are dead. What about me? So if the American president has failed to force the scientists to pump money to produce a vaccine, it means the vaccine is nowhere. If the British abagezi ababadde mu nsi yonna abasajja batwala ebizungirizi ku mwezi aba America eddagala libabuze, what about if Chikwabanga can fail to fight? What about Sematimba and Chikwabanga abali abazira, the bravest of the time, have failed to face the enemy? Then what about me? That's what Muganda says in his song. Bwenzi yukira Sematimba n'Ekikwabanga
Omurasha Omungereza balemeddwa ate gwe
ekitegeeza kakati gwe president alina okukkiriza ayongera ababbi be balye era nakibupulidikiti nga wano nabagamba kana kataba nakawandika nakatuma the covid mafias. Covid mafias nabagamba nti abasajja bano era balina okubbako balina okubbako nakugamba kasome wano okubere ne date ndi atawandikako ndi mbere wansi wa Dombo atawandikanga na ku Ddambi ebyo mulimba
Tamale Mirundi
analoga nti Mirundi kanoti wakanda Dombo kanoti wakanda Nabakoba kanoti waka anda gundi nankabirwa ayiwaka alone.
Tamale Mirundi agamba nti the mafias in Uganda who take advantage of every calamity to enrich themselves saw coronavirus outbreak as an opportunity to steal money. When President Museveni introduced tough measures, the mafias were not threatened. Borders remained open as well as Entebbe International Airport. The president allowed people to enter the country on condition that they would be quarantined for 14 days but pay for the cost of accommodation and feeding during this period. This became attractive to the mafia gang who knew they would influence the authorities to take travelers into their hotels. The mafias looked at isolation quarantine as source of income, and their simple calculation was $1,400 per every traveler in just 14 days. Secondly, they used their influence and their wide network to get relatives and friends out of isolation centers, more like the cannibals at my village who fed on Mulinywa's body and developed the deadly euro. The mafias underestimated the virus. They didn't know that by allowing their relatives to violate quarantine, they were taking the coronavirus into their homes. This was not the usual case from which they used to steal billions of money the way they did during the locust invasion. They were inviting death to their homes.
Yes. This is a nice chance of stealing money. When you look at these people, Enzige, they announced the arrival of Enzige when no single insect was resident in the country. Ngabeyambisa foreign photographs. The billions were released to them. When the Enzige actually came, they had no money. Nibadayo. Nibadugama. Bayina nenyonyi. Bayisa $1 million. Do you know how much money? $3 million. until the president was fed up. N'agamba amaje UPDF. UPDF. That's why UPDF gwe gyobuuze. Singa bakugamba nti abapoliisi baserengese emmanga eyo. Ne bagamba nti ne local defense eserengese ekutte lino. N'amaje gakutte lino olagawa.
Ngenda wali amaje.
Uganda ni alagawa.
Agenda wali UPDF.
This is the first time when Ugandans prefer the army to the other security forces. Why? Their commitment. Nti enzige has been locusts. Toka nti enzige tezikyajja. N'ennaku ezo baaziraba nti they are on their way. Yes. Kenya bakwata ba scout. In Uganda, the general who has defeated the enzige without the $3 million is General Kavuma. Has never found a paragraph in any of our newspapers.
Tamale Mirundi.
Kakati bwetutuuka ku gundi. Wait. Bwetutuuka ku COVID. They asked for the money. Yebasiba wa emmere bichi atemba sasa. President yabawa 59 billion okuva mu State House. Bwe batuuka Entebbe ne befufulia bannaabwe baguwatudde. Ne babasiba. Abanyampi because to work with them you must either be omunyampi. Omunyampi is somebody who takes responsibility. We derive it from our culture. Kings, the feudalistic kings, bwe yafuwanga nga balina kwa Ssaabasajja nze nkikoze. Ye Kamuswaga yayina baseegu. Kamuswaga ono wekkoki had a group of younger men who could shout obscenities to him during nga bagenyi abandi. Naye nga bw'owemula n'atasika they kill you straight to you. You shout an obscenity word, if it does not attract laughter from Kamuswaga, you are dead. Kakati abanyampi, the who are today is abanyampi. The real people who swallow the manna comfortably looking after their house in their farms. Now, ne baddira amata. Abaana abayonka n'abaki mujja kufuna amata. Where is the milk? Maybe bagigatta mu mpewo abakazi basanzise. But there was no milk. Billions were taken. Kakati bwe bategeera nti ate kati we are having obulwadde buzze. Airport muzeyi n'agiggala. Naye there was no single sanitizer. One. Genda obuze Entebbe airport nti sente mugula. Bagula. President sanitizing gundi companies. Bagula bazigula government egula. What's the component, the percentage of Ministry of Health money? As far as good. Mu kibuga mwali baddemu ne muli tanka ebinene ng'ebibeera ku mizikiti gy'Abasiraamu. Strategic places, sanitized water. Lwembuulira. 2. Ekisaawe ky'Entebbe Kabasa agenda okugendayo nga balina bidomola bye bafuka. Naye nga million 10 bagibbye eza sanitizer. They stole 100 million intended for at Entebbe International Airport. Nga waliwo bidomola bwe biti. Ne bajjayo abaana baabwe ne babaleeta. Nnaku ezo waliwo eyaneereegako okuva ku NBS. Yali ebbye 5 billion. Wooteri ete mwasula bantu aneereegako. Eno agikwate kalabye. Nkuyingiza kabuli mu nnaku 3. Yukaboy. Mujogajoga nnyo abantu. We are tough now. Obbye 5 billion. Why don't you mbutanjogera ku gwani? Nali nditekebwa mu emmere. Where do you control my head? 5 billion basasudde amakampuni gaabwe agataliiko. What amazed me, omukyala yava mu America ne bamutwala ekkololo eyo mu isolation center babbireyo ssente. Kakati ayagala kwesimbawo mu Eastern Uganda. Omusajja n'amulaga emmotoka yange Land Cruiser nti agitunda. Naga ye emmotoka gyenjagala waffe tumaintaininga emmotoka ebenyirira. Nimuga njagibaguza. Ye nze neneekweka mmanyiddwa. Omukazi yava mu isolation center. Najjala muze mmotoka. Nabaga I've been given only 3 hours to go back. Kati eyo karantini. Why are you saying? Yes. The Baganda have an Abusini proverb, but I will make a rap it correctly. The Baganda tell you that if you are cleaning a patient and you arrive at the lower buttocks and you feel a stench, tolerate it because this is the exit pipe of a human being. Nti to ate onogano otya byekivaayo ate badde osubirayo ki kakati if akawuka mwakazanyiramu. These figures, because of Museveni's involvement and the international media, nti twategera Queen bamukwese, ne tutegera Gondi bamukamufunye, ne tutegera White House bajigadde. This is how
Tamale Mirundi, President Museveni agenda meeting task force. Yogama tejudemba mafia. Olunaku olwali tusuubire ki?
This is my opinion.
Olowooza President Museveni bimutuukako bate bimutuukako.
Monitor one of the controlled mafia outpiece. Bakugambye, I raised the question. The president was clear. Donated to me vehicles. Kuba baddira motoka za government bazitwala mu byalo.
Tamale motoka eziruddawo.
Anti kyenkubuulira bwe mmala ozoogerako. Give us a single photograph where one of the vehicles was donated to a local hospital. Hakuna. Baddidde akafaananyi abasajja amawulire mugawere ngenda guduumira. Eggulire liri kuba ekyobusirwa ekya tetusoma. This is how. Yes. Me. Who has a registrationship one? Who? Me. I'm the only person in Uganda. President yakanti abantu bebabakuba basupporters benale mbabakuba. Njagala ntambuze ebigere ekibuga kyonna olabe endulu bwe zivuga. First of all, abamu bagenda ne bagamba, abamu bagamba mbwakolagana nabo kyovola bati bamukuba opposition. No, they now committed baganti akasajja ka Museveni. Bakimanyi, I'm a committed man. Even the president knows nakabiro yagenda yijo. Mbu anvuma atulemeseze emirimu. Ate how can me fail you on your job? It means I'm more powerful than you. Nakabirwa against ejo. When did you stop reporting Museveni to me? Kakati Jembuza kati nakabirwa yalowooza nze atayina mulimu mu government to control me as who?
Tamale Mirundi.
The president can invite me as a friend. Sina mulimu mu government. I don't have a government job.
Tamale, buchangwe kwa mafia. Tetulabanga action yonna. Kitegeeza ebigambo byogera tebituuka General Museveni. Nerero bagenda okumitinga butaba mafia.
Nkugambye is not Museveni to judge. Doctor asobola okujja. I have two medical doctors. Asobola okujja n'akugamba nti omulwadde wammwe ajja kuba bulungi. Dokita bw'afuluma taata wammwe n'abaga nti muleete muliraanwa nkole ddaami, which means the patient knows his health more than the medical doctor. Today is not the question of Museveni praising the National Task Force. It is Ugandans, and we have an election here. Museveni is fortunate. These issues, what I say, would have been raised by a vibrant opposition. I've told you, if the opposition leaders are in the armpit of the mafia gang. But today, me as a scientist, a political scientist, I know, let them jump on Bobby Wine. To jump on Bobby Wine means they are losing the options. Kati oyo omuwala byayogera. First of all, kankubuli, kati omuwala byayogera obimanyi?
Dana twine.
Bayina amasomero gaabwe. That will apply to schools. Before your kid comes.
Bakusaba abiri mwena.
Naye mubye gwanga, Diana mubye gwanga lino. The nation needs, if you think that Ugandans are fools, we shall see.
For now, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Bampita Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha wano ku STV biri ku machakera nange nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo engeri tusobola okwezimba mu ggwanga lyaffe, engeri tusobola okuzimba gye tubeera gye tuva, wategedde obwavu lwa kibuluma, mikwano gy'abaavu baani, otambula otya, osula otya. okusalawo okw'obulamu kutandikira ku nfuna yo. Emikwano gy'abagagga n'abaavu tusobola ogitegeera no ku STV. Tugenda kwogera ku nsonga z'abaslay queen. Tutambula tutya kukyusa omulembe gw'abawala baffe kubanga bafuuka babuvunaanyizibwa era nga bakozi nga banoonyi ba kikumi. Tugenda kwogera ku bakanyama bazimba batya emibiri y'omubiri bwe guli mu ssente oba bwe bulamu bwe twetaaga. Omukazi tasobola kuleka musajja w'emmotoka mukaaga mbwakute akwate 6 pack abufune mbubatambule naye wano ku STV. Big network. See ya.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Bale kubango kyakumidde ku STV era nga tuline omukukunavu Tamale Mirundi era nga tukubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga nyingi ezigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga ku program gye bayita Sharp Talk. Tugoberere ku mikutu gyaffe egya Facebook, Twitter wamu ne ku YouTube. Sharing akebera ngo sharing ne banno basobola okulanga bafuna ku mawulire gano ba information efuluma okuva ewomukukunavu Tamale Mirundi batera okugamba nti information is power. Bw'oba tolina information ne mukitegeeza obeera dormant era bangi nnyo bakulinnyako ne batuuka gye baagala okugenda. Wabula tuze tukuwa tugoberera emboozi ya Male Mabirizi nga akube ebituli mu kusoma kwa wamu n'emyaka gye ng'agamba nti nno Bobi Wine empapula ze tezimukkiriza kubanga yasimbawo okubeera pulezidenti w'eggwanga wamu n'emyaka nti yalimba ku ky'emyaka. Mabirizi kikyazaako
bamabirizi abo singa mubaleke
olunaku olw'eggulo Bobi Wine yavuddeyo n'atangaza ku ky'emyaka gye n'atangaza ne ku byesoma
kati njogera ku mabirizi n'obudde bwange
kikyazaako mabirizi.
Kankubulire akatabo kano kalaba enseekeezi.
Enseekeezi tegeeza Tamale.
Nakawandiika Detroiters. Nakawandiika
wakawandiika nkiwandiise olwaleero nga 19 ogw'omusanvu 2012.
Kakati guno omukono ani ali emabega waago? ani ali emabega waago? Ekifaananyi
amama Mbabazi
kaali kaddi
2012.
Mbabazi yajjadde
yajja 2016
naye guno ani yali mu kizikiza nga atambula enseekeezi
yali amama
omanyi akatabo kano pulezidenti yakaagala nnyo mu kampeyini baabugula muwazane kano enseekeezi nakano kaliwa enseekeezi nakano ak'olunyankole kali ne mululuwo
kagamba ki
kano
lunyankole okugalukamu ebishuuma
obulimba
bitegeeza Tamale
era anti obulimba bw'abano n'empandiika obulokoso mu nnimi zonna bulokoso bw'abavuganya Museveni. This is when I earned the printing press from him. Ne kati ekaddi nze sikolera short term. One, I will never work with these people again.
Tamale Mirundi
nkubuulire Male Mabiri tukiyita reverse psychology. This is a scientific election.
Alinge yaweddemu
nkugambye
yali
abaddemu naki is a media maniac mwe mumuwandiikako
kwegamba tumutongera omuwanika
gundi somebody drew my attention. Oli mutani wange ali ewa Bobi Wine manyi bamumisiyozinga abeena ali mbali bagenze bamugulembo nengamba mukuba ennyondo mwali muzimbaddeko. You were stupid. Family yaffe terimu ebyo mbuga mugole bamuleete mulabe nga mujjeeyo oba ndabe mukazi wange wa DP nga mujjeeyo. Bwekyamayumba gange bwe yali agenda namubuulira nti wa join you are venturing into some naleka n'omulimu mulungi nnyo nali mufunidde omulimu mulungi nnyo n'agulekawo n'alaga mba Bobi Wine. Somebody drew my attention nti mutani gwagambye nti ekifaananyi kya pulezidenti ekya diguli kiriwa nimugamba nimukubidde essimu nti pulezidenti ali mu byammwe ebyo nti ye akulaga purpose. Immediately arrived at the university mu 69 yagenda Mozambique yagenda ne Kawanga bano bonna Kawanga Wakapabulu ono Gonde Sekandi ono Gonde yali katekero wa Buganda baali naye nti nze nkuze basidde abana bagabagere bagamba dadi tukuze birthday mbagamba kati munzizeyo mu lubuto lwa nnyabo nzire munzalibwe push me back inside my mother's bed nkuze birthday. Some of us degree. We don't have good serious people. Don't consider those things serious.
Malema bilizaze
Malema bilizi. Malema bilizi is an agent of Rupia Banda. In Taluzonazalwan. Do you believe nti Malema bilizi could take on the president? Erono musajja sibaji sajja gundi immediate olwavude kabaka obwakabaka mbwambala bukozeeki kwega dibya muje mwakoze yakuba bwakabaka. That was a mistake and I talk to him. Kikutegeezaki ono bonna boogera kabaka. There is no muganda ukanidwaga mwe naye waliwo yabawola ssente mengo ne bamwe ekyapa kya Bulange kakati ate ne bamubba. Abaganda bwe bagugumuka ne babagamba nti ekyapa kiriwa ne bamugamba nti kituwe tukikulirize tebakiriza nga ekyapa babetenta. Kakati do you believe Mabirizi can have the money and influence to go to the East African Court of Appeal over the 75-year cap AM7? Doesn't it look similar to a tulo case eyebungereza mwe babbira sente? Our call who was in Uganda Revenue Authority will want to tell us whether a presidential pledge is paid by Uganda Revenue Authority. Bajja kuba bekukumye bo bali kufaamu zaabwe bafuwa mika. Our call, you will lose even a spoon. You will refund the money at a given time and appropriate time. You will be picked from Karamwite, from Manyata to come and refund this money. Tulo case, but to never fumbi bachai. The same group is sponsoring ono gundi Mabirizi to take the president to nabalamuzi ne bawulira. Is there a federal government in Arusha? Has any of the member states surrendered its sovereignty to Arusha to create a federal government? This is an experiment. Do we have a unified constitution we follow in East Africa? Balwanyisa Museveni. Kakati ono Mabirizi mukwano gwa Bobi Wine. Omanyi baita leading
kyogamba Mabirizi kyakola Bobi Wine yafunamu.
Yes. Anti if we were kankubuulire Bobi Wine abadde atambulira ku advice register the party n'agifuna ne bagugumuka. Nembaga nti no, the pioneers aba ekibiina basobola okukitunda n'ekyenaalemu Bidandi ne Mbabazi ne Kigongo kibaki Mbabazi ne Bidandi bakyalimu. Why? The Lord does not say, like in a company, the Lord does not say that when you start a political party, you cease to be a pioneer, a founding member of NRM. Bebajiwandis, beba pioneers. Until the law is amended, but Bidandi member wa amaanyi nnyo. Mwe mwamuyiseeko ne Mbabazi nga mulonda solo candidate. It applies to Bobi Wine. Ekitegeeza ekireeta yali akubono. Mugezi nnyo. You need an intelligent man. We call it reverse psychology. Reverse psychology means
olinga agamba nti nature basajja mivulu kuva munno. Bobi yafunamu.
Bobi yafunamu. Anti bakulowoozesa nti oli ayina. Bakulowooza nti eri aweakeninga ta weakeninga. Is not weakening. Naye bakulimba deception. Abalabe ba Museveni bakulowoozesa oyo omwana oyo ayinza okuba nga nebyakola tabitegeera ye muli wa ssente ayagala media oyo balamu. But the real architecture of these things, how did Kusaasira affect this man? How did others affect Bobi Wine's cause? Because even if today Bobi Wine crosses to NRM, you are creating problems for yourself. You would even strengthen Bobi Wine's group. Why? The moment these frustrated Ugandans don't see any other way of peaceful change of government, they will resort to violence.
Kisoboka wana Uganda.
Bobi Wine abantu babe besi tebamugwako, sebagala tebamugwako. Do you have permanent, when you talk about support, do you have permanent support? Do you have traditional support? do you have
church religious
tuchita tutya tulina kyetuyita tutya artificial support fecal support we call it fecal support ani akwagala is it money banabaka parliament is it money chi abantu bakwagala this is why regimes ezana kuizana ya gundi ya Habyarimana collapsed ezana kuizana ngabali rudda ekikumi ku kikumi ndi twawangudda gundi bayusi bonna twabawangudde bayusi bamu abawangudde kakati katulinde temuteeka bukalulu tulabe anti mu abawangudde nga bayusi be agitating for change all of this is artificial and I don't believe that Muyekera like Museveni can believe in this, can talk about it to police the gun kakati Bobi Wine yafunamu why look what this history from this head when Lukwago came stood for mayorship what happened bamugamba talina buyigirize why bwosoma akatabo kankano
Tamale Mirundi
nkubuulira anti you wait nkugaa nti bwosoma akatabo kange kubona weekali bakita invisible hand nabawandikira nembagamba nti era bali bagala kujjako Museveni at that time ninga akalabyeko wa invisible hand kakati Lukwago bamugamba talina buyigirize why Mbabazi yali ku Sematimba Lukwago nga si wa DP Lukwago yajanga independent
waliwo invisible force
era nakugamba in that book nti Lukwago yali talina sente zimuleeta that's why Namboze yajja ba volunteers emukono by the time we carried out the elections Lukwago yali talina ba observers ku 1000 polling stations okutuusa segona kujawanga lweyafuna information from a rival faction eyali tayagala Mbabazi kutwala bwa meya ne bagamba nti obulubuli staffed the exercise was halted ekitegeeza it was a battle there was a battle but it was later found out that Lukwago had qualifications Nantaba when Nantaba was appointed state minister for land that was a parliament went up in arms
basajja mivule katimbega
ate mbega ki
anti ogambye yokusala eddiiro n'agenda mu n'agenda mu NRA no Bobby
teyina kyefiiriddwa bano balimba Museveni something is being done we are weakening Bobi Wine you started fighting Bobi Wine olunaku Bobi Wine lwebamuleta mu katabo kange muno nkugamba aka Bobi Wine nti with my eyes nalaba one of the senior ministers in Museveni's government with the sacks of money nga ina emitwalo 5 gandi vote Bobi Wine nga bo bamulese to create him as a gold mine okulya ku Museveni cent abalemeredde Boba how can we become relevant to the president by not stealing COVID money by not stealing money intended to buy radio sets this is how you can be relevant to Museveni but not to create trouble for him they brought Bobi Wine bebamwereetera abalemeredde kati balaga Museveni nti balina kye bakolawo tulese kusaasira nikibaki kusaasira linga kikoyi kijje ku mukazi omunene ina kyafiiringa because this man has no structure nabaga nti this man ali mu America oba abazungu aba Europe why I can understand their situation in Europe and America they use slogans Schroeder in German was a popular chancellor bamutekako abakazi abo all of the 3 women can't be wrong yawasa emirundi egi slogan yamukuba Bush bwe yajja junior yagamba they came together they should go together Clinton ni nani ne aligo they came together they go together in Kenya kila kitu kinawezekana kwa Kenya bila Moi everything in Kenya is possible if Moi goes this is the slogan that took Moi why is it lwaki buli avuganya Museveni concentrating ku Museveni ng'omuntu why because the mafias have created a situation that let us heap everything to Museveni kila kitu kinawezekana kwa Uganda bila Museveni no Museveni has not stolen money Museveni is struggling with the struggle a formidable and entrenched mafia which controls the media
that he knows and he cannot deal with
and
it.
nkubuulire nti abakolako has liberated leya babadde bazze mbawulira kati amagezi ge basaze bati these are fools some of these were fools nti kati gwe mubadde mukubye at one time bayagala okutta omuvuka Lutwama ne bagala omutta Lutwama what happened nasulako wana muyamba kakati president bwamutaddeyo ne bamanya tebagenda kubba kiki bakoze eki kati ate bagala Lutwama mbw ate bagenze wamwende ekiro abawandikira ati ku Lutwama ono mutabani wange Kigunda here the case started nimbagamba nti I have a recorded tape for 3 hours a younger man intimidating judges eno case nayo yali wodda mafias don't learn new tricks abasajja bawaabo omusango nga Alcon ye fake company was a fake one day mujezisasula baleta fake company nega nti nzimbi Alcon ndiye nzimbi wakaza kusinejirima nibawaaba mu kooti nga bawadderoko omuntu y'omu azza anyaga buli wamu era yaleeta akayindi akakadde bisoyi biki gundi omulamuzi yali awulira omusango gwa Alcon n'abagamba nga bajulidde bafunye ekenya ne formato ne jeni wa kibaki okuba exposing Alcon nti si kampuni ye Kenya tebangayo mukyala kiwonoka ye minister of finance omulamuzi yalwala mu January nga sekono secretary general yali asazeewo babwabe contract yenge gwako mu omulamuzi n'aganze naye bali mujjayo these cases are going to be reviewed do you hear in America people talking about construction of roads Museveni abikoze tugenda kujja ku corruption noyo yiba muyole kakati what these same thieves are saying Kigundu says I've audited my account nendaba munziba why don't you create a counter audit badduka misinde kukifuula political mbwaddire ebizimbe bye babitwale nga bwe bali batwala Alcon katubakubireko mungu let us incite the population you go on a self-destruction mission mugende mu self-destruction mission ebyo byonna kakati gwogamba kati Museveni bamulimba nti as achieved nze kemanyi Museveni omuyekera singa akwata oyo gundi oyo basajja kambu ajja mubuulira nti beewo be bantuma if you can get a chance president singa president ya meeting abano ba defectors mu chama
mwagazamu emmotoka etawulira binnya ne pick up esono genda mu byalo
yes ngani amuuliriza bajja mukuba the more the rest they can do credibility and popularity they are like a virginity you cannot get married and remain a virgin if boyagala ekibumbo kya wambuzi toyiza kwagala ekibumbo abakugirimu ekibumbo mu mbuzi mu Uganda mukamwe muli empuuta etayina nnuuni waliwo yagitendalinga naye mujoze ensi nemuli akamunyi nemuli ente nemuli enkoko n'obukunkumuka ne bugwa wansi nabo ne mubuyolayo you are living on borrowed time tebakulimbanga nti yakyayina support
Simon Chris Makanga era nga tukyakubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga nnyingi nnyo ezigenda
ntinze
wikyewedde twalabanga ba European delegates bakyalirako ebibiina by'obufuzi eby'enjawulo basooka ne bakyalira kyogwasookera ddala basooka ne bakyalira ekibiina kya NUP era nga bali mu kafubo akatwala essaawa eziwera ddala ebbiri era nga bayogera ku nsonga nnyingi nnyo olwavaawo ne bagenda mu kibiina kya FDC ne bava mu FDC ne bagenda mu DP ne bava mu DP ne bagenda mu ANT Tamale Mirundi by European delegates okukyalira ebibiina by'obufuzi ebya opposition tetunaba kubalaba nga bakyalira ekibiina kya NRM naye okukyalira ekibiina bya opposition kitegeeza era banoonya ki
anti kakati mwetemumanyi ate gwasoma international relations
anti munauganda yeebuuza okumanya nti bano ba European delegates okukyalira ebibiina bya opposition babeera banoonya
apart from Britain the European Union gives aid as a union olwezombeera mu bilateral 2 they send observers but observers bakola kine mu 19 ne baaliwo wano they excited the opposition Obote refused to meet them Obote said I don't know why they are here maybe they are here on a jubilation kakati the European Union cannot excite me why there is nobody who has a veto in this country that the Europeans will tell us what to do. The Europeans don't come at the right time. What does the Constitution say? What are the laws governing elections say? Yes. Election laws zigamba zitya. What have the Europeans done, commented on gerrymandering of constituencies? Can they do anything? Because declaring a constituency is the responsibility of the Electoral Commission. We have a census or by Parliament. Nankabira yabitwala eri. Nankabirwa oyo kyakoze ekibiina gyakisa akimazeewo. And many things batubuzanga mu economics. Who is this woman? Who is responsible for killing companies? Is mismanagement. You look everywhere where a woman hand is involved. Bulichi, chonone. Bwabuka denu ineko kataboka nga kudiba kwali. The politics of the Banyambi and Abarusula.
Tamale.
Kati nkugamba.
European delegates.
The European Union. Teine cheja kola. When your daughter is already impregnated, you cannot advise her not to move with the bad boys. The advice comes too late. The nature. How do they influence? Will they enforce the parliament to enact laws? Because Museveni does not sit in the parliament. This is where I pity people like a Bobi Wine, and I console myself. They are being used. Why? Uganda will tell you, Ntikono weka, tokalinda kusabana taka. If you are going to carry a baby on your back, tuinza mukiza kumala kolachi. Bobi Wine has been sitting in the parliament. All of these parties are having MPs. Why should Bobi Wine go to court to force his way into somebody's radio station or TV? Why didn't he create his? How much money, if you know that this is scientific election, which are used in national media, how much money did they allocate to UBC? All of the money which have been allocating to UBC has been from Mutumwebas has been. If you institute a commission of inquiry on UBC and the money, where the money is and land, Tumwebas will free to Congo. Before even the Europeans grab him as they are planning to do. He will free to Congo. But why do I have a printing press, I have a magazine, I maintain my, do you pay me? I don't think that there is a radio station that pays me money. I don't think there is a misconception that these programs, I knew the president was sustaining the program on NBS. But Kalisa didn't know that I was aware. Yalita money. Write it as once. Why didn't they give me this money? Mbabanja millions and bitano. And they think I'm going to embark on another journey before they pay this one.
Tamale sende zongozi banji zibangeri weda.
Ine petubulira abafuna. Kuba ffe batuloza we are fools. We are not fools. Tuli bagezi. Nti balowooza we force him to kneel before us. I will come with the hammer.
Tamale chabulabe bana ba delegate
tebayina mugaso
ebibina bino
tebayina mugaso anti to gather information from them to pressure the government on what? Because Uganda election is a constitution
determining a governance of
anti
this country.
bano tebakimanyi nti what will they say? What do you benefit from a priest telling you are coming to console your daughter who is already pregnant? Because you cannot increase the pregnancy. That at least stop on this one. Kakati abazungu bajja wano to get views from political parties on how they can pressurize government to make it the ground level. But fortunately for Uganda, these are laws which must be amended. These are laws. Kakati, how can somebody, I said, a constitution is a paradigm. A constitution is like a closed door. Watekamu olugi mu nyumba yo. There are two ways. If ekitanda kinene okusinga olugi, you embayiti okyasembulingire muki, or you remove the door over and the constitution bweri, you amend it or you abolish it. Kakati kyetubuuza. At this time, the information they are getting from this bazungu, the Electoral Commission will say my hands are tied. Why? I have this issue of COVID-19. COVID-19, this is a law. The president invoked this law. We act, which was left there by the British. The British, the act The Health Act we are using now was enacted by the British, not Museveni. They excite you because you are not knowledgeable. You hear Ugandans. As I was talking to the American ambassador, me, I don't, even if they invite me, I don't go to those embassies. For what? Maybe for visa. And I know how these people operate. Even if you are a great friend of the ambassador here, cannot influence the visa department. But even being invited to attend a dinner at the British High Commissioner, people dance here. They even they can advise. Even invited guests at the include Abamaudi and Betekam. These are primitive societies. That everything is praised. Kakati is in Kuburi. It is them to market. Don't tell us that we are siding with this government. This is what I tell the COVID thieves. There is no credible financial institution that can lend a country money 6 months away from the elections. If an incoming government, if we had a serious opposition, not this one, the artificial one, that is controlled by the mafias, if a new government comes into power, you brought the money, there is no institution. Kati bana ba mafia ono musajja w'obukooti wa finance yali ayagala atwale parliament mu recess akomewo n'omutwe gwe akwate 7 trillion bwaziwe mu economy kubanga parliament mulimu abalwadde. First of all, me, I'm an intelligent man. If you check me, you test me, you give me what? You are taking me and my contacts with in the isolation center where people are starving to death. I rather die in my house. I spear you. I shoot you if I have a gun. Anti how? First make to musobola kujoga abantu musome tubatwale egindi babeta kali yagindi ya Nambole. What happened to this plot? Kumwali mugendo kuzimba eddwaliro ku Mukaga. And the government guaranteed we are accumulating interest. Diana, do you live in this? Do you eat the same food we eat? Do you drink the milk from the same cows we drink? Diana, do you sleep on the same sheets we do? Diana, are you out of touch? Do you understand the local language we speak? And you know them. Katibali change bali bamusudde. Mbu change teyagenze na masiki. We are resorting to masks because to padding ourselves. Why? You were failed.
Tamale awe nyiri bwenjaga tudde ababaka
kati masiki ze mwali reservinze for sukulu konji children kati mwazi kabaziri kati zabana nga badayo ziriwa kutoka kubire ko national task force nagamba mkwano wa Katongole we have been together with Katongole nemga duka
omubaka wa parliament
duka
omubaka wa parliament Nakaseke bamukwata nga bagamba nti yali agenda okukola possession mutali mumenyi bwa mateeka era nga violating SOPs za Minister of Health. Naye tukirabe bulwatu nga ababaka ba parliament abamu ne ba minister abamu government nga bakoze possession
avulakishaddeyo
nga bakumibwa police n'amagye gwanga kitegeeza kitamu.
I will donate a book to you about propaganda and the tools of propaganda. I've explained that the mafias are fighting Museveni using propaganda tools. One of the most attractive tools is called deception. Deception, it means that I appear to be doing something nga sikyendiko nti nwanyisa covid ngobba ssente tulumiddwa abantu tuleeta amatanga n'ozibba kati tukiyita deception mu propaganda. Kati another strong tool mu propaganda yeetaagiza abagezi ennyo tukiyita reverse psychology. Nti gwolowooza ti Bobi Wine omuweekeninga nedda bamafia bakulyako ssente tebannakwata ku kinyiso kya Bobi Wine because Bobi Wine waabwe bagala kuprotectinga ki kakati reverse psychology kati reverse psychology bakuba candidate bawa namayanja olutalo luli ku secretariat namayanja bamukolera kabenje nga baga nti ayina 30 billion azibbye bagenda okubera nga ssente temuli kati bawa namayanja gwe bakuba they are helping lutamaguzi These people are helping Rutamaguzi.
Rutamaguzi afuna
mukwata. Andi nkubulire. Let me tell you. Gweko nyini okyogedde nti what makes Rutamaguzi nga balaba because who are cautioned by Tango Doi. Who are just summoned to the police by an anger. You cannot use caution. You can use which are disqualify you. Which yes, if I'm a member of NRM and I'm itching to become independent, Mkolachi, Tango Doi, call it disqualification. It does not matter. There is no provision in the Health Act under which we are operating about disciplining errant members by party organisms. It's not there. Kati Tango Doi yeyambisa reverse psychology. Yeyambisa deception. Kakati in this case kankubulire like in Lukwago's case education, Nantaba's case education. Neyate kakoza ye bamugamba talina qualifications for Kabwa minister, but he is a sitting MP. When the two, you cannot become a minister when the same qualifications of being a minister apply to MP. Why is kakoza there? Mu parliament yakola mungi. Because kakoza would be in parliament if we had different qualifications. Kakati nkubudde ne nkugamba. Look at the history. Chief Justice Ogola retired. Ruled that Besigye could be nominated inside the in custody. Museveni realized what was the intention of Ogola. The then Attorney General Kidu Makubuya, a professor from Yale University in America, who had taught law for a long time. You might find that even Ogola would be a student of this man. Argued before court. How can this man in a cell, Nakisoma Julius Caesar, cases from bondage will deliver cases. Kakati ono Museveni yashibala. Nti Ogola knows Museveni will defeat Besigye. But let us dent Museveni's victory by competing with somebody who cannot campaign. Nabaga nti golola n'alwana n'omusajja omusiba empingu n'amukuba tteke aba yamuwangudde. Whatever percentage Besigye got if he was in prison would embarrass Museveni. Museveni did not pursue the matter. Besigye was released from bail, nominated as others, and was decisively defeated. We move to Otafire, my friend. And for me, when I say you a friend, you a friend. Otafire is my friend. Many ministers are run away from me because they are corrupt and they fear my machines. Kati Otafire, bamuzanya akazanyo kekamu. Military, the military, bagenda ne bakwata oyo omusajja Kahonda. Ne bamuteeka mu kkomera. Nti yadduka mu majenga talina kumonda. It backfired on Otafire. Otafire yagwa. Why? The moment in society, if you want society to sympathize with you, be a victim, is it how you could arrest an MP of Nakaseke? 2, by now, we are going to elections where in Iruwero there is one minister standing, the Minister of Education, which the Minister of Education, I warned them, nabagamba temutwala first lady mu ministry monna. Omukono wagamya navumye nazala kakubire ko mungalo mukoju nabagamba ababbi ba Museveni beyambisa nnyo abantu Museveni bawaana. Who can talk about this mess in education? Bomwe babbira except the risk takers like me. Nti kakati kyegamba bakukubye nkugambye nti bakubye Museveni bagala kuba candidate wa Namayanja oba NRM candidate. NRM candidate is going to suffer from this backlash. Rutamaguzi is going to win. I can't predict it. Rutamaguzi is a beneficiary. Yes.
Kakati songa ya ambassador in Denmark ne sente saga eyetolera ku sente ezo.
Somebody overhaul the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Nobody in the Minister of Foreign Affairs can point a finger. Mbakuba nimba mala wait my book. I've written a book about Nina Kempandisi. Basoka mu monitor. Ne bateeka mu nti Madivani's children are quarreling over property. You know what is happening in all of these embassies? Oyo muwala adomana ngekamba bulize.
Tamale mafias balumbye ambassador.
Oyo muwala Madivani omanyi. oyo mwala wa Madivani omanyi nti yaleeta crisis ya 71 ogoba abayindi. I mean wanted to marry that daughter now, that girl now. Ask her. Ye yatuvira ko obuzibu bwa against the Indians to tell you that Mirundi has research here. Era amini ennaku ekyenda bwe kyaggwako nga kibulayo wiiki emu yaleeta Madivani n'emmetta nga bali mu pajama bali ku mpingo. N'abalaga nti I'm determined to chase Yahweh. Some Indians started running into Lake Victoria ne beetugiramu. There was a man called Agustino Kamia. Bano bamuwa omudaali. Agustino Kamia was a conman. Mu 60 mu myaka gyana 5 yajjanga ebintu by'abayindi n'abitunda n'ayinsightinga blacks again. Kamia bamutta kuwali ku mini price nga alyako abayindi sente mbw Amini amutumye sente Amini n'amusala. Bano bamuwa omudaali which made fool. Kubanga movement. You need a historian there. You need to consult us. Kakati ngamba. Do you know that there is a company that manages Uganda's foreign embassies? Do you know the circumstances under which Katende, a celebrated Gond, left Gond? Do you know what happened to Kalule, president from Mutake, Ochimanyi? Omanyi? How many ambassadors do we have? Ambassador is a title, a seniority title to Inabameka. Ambassador Senton, Ambassador Muchivi, Ambassador who? Why? Why don't we have qualified people? Where do we fare well? One. The most celebrated diplomat we have is Ayebali, a former journalist. Bumwagenda okunonya ku African Union mwajayo oli omukazi vice president era kasajja ako ne kamuwandiikako ne bamubbiramu miliyoni ya dola emu. Do you know that former vice president Kazibwe and Cecily Ogwal were detained in a Chikari hotel for non-payment? Nga sente bazibya ba foreign affairs na kana kasajja akawandika amawulire ako. I know much. I know more. I know everything in foreign affairs. You wait my book.
Wewa Tamalenga tugenda okumaliriza
wait my book.
Kulokubira wiche wedde walwana ne kazi haji kazi we Bashir.
Mugende mugule panado.
Wiche wedde walwana waliwo
ne haji kazi we Bashir. No tangaza. Mubere tempted mutayo omuntu ogo.
Watangaza ku
mulabe mutuka
BSJ. Watangaza ku plan BSJ. Ku analysis je wakola wagamba nti ejja kubeera based on region or empowering regions. Wagamba singa mu Eastern singa poa Patrick Amniat Oboy afuka president yayina y'amaanyi n'ogamba nti akundi ku his plan B mu Eastern region ekasese Winchiza ne Mugisha Muntu balina y'amaanyi n'ogamba nti mu Northern region so kati best yajja kulomukaaga yayina press conference n'atangaza ku plan B ngeri totally different kwa analysis yo n'agamba nti ye plan B jaina agenda ku mobilizinga abo bonna abawuliranga bakoye abo bonna abawuliranga eddembe lyabwe lyabajjibwako omuli abataxi ababoda n'abalala abakunganye babeere eddoboozi.
Let me tell you, Besigye is talking about taxi drivers. Where was Besigye when pioneer buses came, when our money was taken away? Besigye was working with the bus owners, Pioneer. I said at that time, it's written in my book, that before the Pioneer buses hit the city, Aga Khan changed his building, APS building, from a glass building into a concrete one. Why? He knew that Kampala was going to be rocked by riots. The Americans moved from near Parliament, near that building, to Zambia. I knew this development. How could a serious businessman bring a fleet of buses in a city, Eritrea city, and none of his buses was banned? How many times has Besigye come up? Besigye, ukimenye gwentikita taino Uganda ku Besigye. Baina. Did Besigye come up to talk about the plight of borders? When do you come? That's the mentality. I don't know why people think that we are Barusula and Abanyampi. Taina. Besigye, let me tell you, conclude as a mass communicator. a starving person cannot vomit because there is nothing to vomit. Somebody to vomit, there must be a battle inside his belly over what he has eaten. That's vomiting. Besigye has no ideas left and cannot vomit any idea.
Wow. Yes, from that point iranga tugenda tubasibulira waneno mwebale kubeera balabi balungi nnyo kuba we twatandikidde mpaka wanebule dakiika just nga mukaaga 5 kubanga tutuuka ku ssaawa 5 wano wennyini bwe tunjaga tukomekereze mpaka olwokubiri oluddako. For now mbagaliza olunaku olulungi tujja kubanga tugobera ensonga nga bwe zigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga era olwokubiri oluddako tujja kujja wano tubitebye. Amanya nze Simon Chris Makanga. Wabula ekiddako ye media ye sports updates okubanga majorini wamu ne Prince Joe kubagenda kwa babawa ebigenda maaso mu nsiike ebyemizannyo. Nkoze ne timu nnene nnyo omuli Donde Drone ku kamera wamu ne Mansul, producer Husna Afet wamu ne Adams Mayambala wamu ate mu control mwabaddeyo Jeff ne Robert Jones. For now mbagaliza olunaku olulungi mpaka olwokubiri oluddako mubeere bulungi.